Hey everybody, I'm going to show you how we made our homemade Die Hard scene, which includes one of the best villain deaths in all of movies, the death of Hans Gruber. Let's go! There are only a few characters in this one, but they're very important. You've got to get Hans Gruber, so we found a guy who has just the right voice and just the right look for it, Michael.
Well, this time, John Wayne will not walk off into the sunset with Grace Kelly.
It's our first time working with him. He was great.
I normally do stage work. I'm actually right now doing Much Ado About Nothing, and this was slightly different than that.
And then we brought in one of our regulars, Chris, the man of many wigs.
Wow, this kind of looks like Garfunkel.
And he played our Bruce Willis in this one.
Take 15.
Then we've got another first-timer for homemade movies, Catherine, who came in to play Holly.
I had covered up my tattoo, and I was like, I hope that you can't see it.
Hair, wigs, makeup, what do you gotta do to get them to look just right? For Hans Gruber, it's pretty easy. Michael already had just the right hair, and I just kind of touched up his beard a little bit, made it look more Hans Gruber-y.
The hardest part was getting that 80s poof. It's hard to maintain poof.
Chris, of course, needed a wig. I reused one of our wigs from the alien scene that we did.
I'm going to attempt to turn this lovely wig into a Bruce Willis wig.
I just shortened that thing, cut a whole new hairline, sprayed it with some brown spray, and glued that thing to Chris's head.
Come out to the coast, we'll have a few laughs.
It surprisingly looked very Bruce Willis-y.
Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
Those are the three main cast members. And then we had our buddy Matt. He played our Terminator in the Terminator scene. He was perfect for this role. It's like just 2 shots and it's just like a really weird guy with a weird expression, and he nailed it. I play one of the cops and my buddy Tim plays one of the cops.
Us cops, we do each other's makeup.
And then of course John appears in the background as a third cop. He's always popping up back there. So to get Bruce Willis looking like he'd been through a lot, this is the end of the movie, he needs to look bloody, beat up. I just put some fake blood on Chris and some black spray, make him look kind of messed up. And then we also had a spray bottle nearby so we could make him look sweaty. We just constantly keep spraying Chris down. I think that was his favorite part of the day. He would have to just call for more spritzing.
Where's my spritzing girl? Did she leave? Here I am. Thank you.
I think he was enjoying the royal treatment.
It says ammonia, but I assure you.
I noticed halfway through shooting this that he was wearing one sock on one foot and was bare on the other.
My left foot is my injured foot, the one with the sock on, so that way I don't forget.
Ah, he's thinking. Once again, we just shot most of this inside my house. We just put some red filters on my usual lights, blasted the smoke machine, and then John held a box in front of the light and just sort of like tried to get some movement out of it. It looked super awesome. Chris, all sweaty, with a gun, red light. Okay, it looked like Die Hard. We just found a part of my doorway that sort of like matched the wall where he's standing, and then we used actually the same part of the doorway, just in reverse when we shot the Hans Gruber stuff. It looks like they're across the room interacting with each other, but they're actually standing in almost the same spot.
This is a Christmas tape, so I'm just drawing the Christmas decorations on it. Little holly berries. Oops, got some on your skin. It'll wash off, don't worry.
For a couple shots, we actually want to see a bullet hole kind of go into the window, so we just hung up a black sheet. I just used some white tape and made the shape. And then for one of the shots, we noticed there's some like little shards of glass that just kind of fall off. We just tossed another wad of tape.
You win!
So when the shot starts, you've got that little tiny shatter. Towards the end of the scene, Hans Gruber falls out the window, but he hangs on to Holly's arm. We ended up tilting my dining room table on its side and using that as the ledge. I just put the camera as low as I could on the ground and shot upwards at the ledge. So they're hanging over the side of the table. We had John on the ground standing in for Hans Gruber's hands. That all just took place very low on the ground in my dining room. As long as you get the lights flashing and you get it shot close up, it looks pretty cool. We did have a lot of trouble getting the watch to come off just the right way.
So we're trying to get this watch to flip in slow-mo, so we kind of attach it to some string here, just to help it along its path through the air.
We tried it so many times and it was sticking to the fake blood, and then it would not flop in the right way. That was definitely one that we didn't plan on spending a lot of time on, but ended up taking tons of time. In the end, you know, it looks homemade, looks funny, so I'm happy with it. The big moment, Hans Gruber falls out of the building in super slow motion. Instead of using a side of a building, we're just using the ground. As long as we got the angle of the ground right, it kind of matches the angle of the side of the building. But he's actually just kneeling down on a small furniture dolly, and then he kind of pushes himself off from the camera and just slides back. What you don't see is John pulling a rope, helping guide it. As long as Michael pushed off a little bit and got the momentum going, John could then smoothly keep pulling him. We're trying to get him to roll back really straight. We never really knew where he was gonna land. Sometimes he would veer off to the side. Meanwhile, I'm tilting the camera down and changing the focus. And we have Sean throwing some papers because there's some papers coming out of the office building. We had to get the timing right. Sean's throwing the papers, John's pulling the rope, I'm doing the focus. Poor Michael's hunched over doing this like over and over and over, but he was a great sport. So we did that one tons of times. In the end, it turned out really cool. If the ground is the side of the building, then our wall is the ground. We just put some tap lights up on the walls, the LEDs. If you look very close, there might be a little surprise back there. One of the lights, it's the flux capacitor. After we finished the live action stuff, we moved into miniatures. First he falls out of the window, so I just made the little front of the building, drew the lines and did some black paint for the windows, cut open the openings, and then put a sheet of transparency for the window. In the middle one, where he's gonna fall through it, I did this trick on our Terminator scene. You just take the transparency and you actually cut open a few slots that you can pull the action figure through. And then what I did is I just cut up little pieces of the clear transparency and just sort of placed them around there really carefully. That way when you pull them through, they kind of pop off and they go flying down too, so it looks like the glass is shattering. Then there's a wider shot where he kind of dangles down and we just toss some more glass shards. For the wider shots, he actually needs to fall quite a long ways down. I didn't realize how far down he really does fall in that one single shot. It doesn't cut away. I had already made the front of the building, and I tried to extend it.
So I'm setting up the Nakatomi Tower here, all the way from the ceiling to the floor.
We have the action figure on a thin piece of thread that I looped through one of my air conditioning vents. We could lower him and raise him. And then at the bottom, we set up a little silhouette of what's supposed to be the cop cars. Then we got a little red light that's the top of the cop car. We ended up shooting it in reverse because the shot goes down and then has to stop at the right moment. And I figured that might be tricky to get just right. So we started at the bottom, lined everything up, got the light blinking, got the smoke going, and then at the right moment, we pulled the action figure up, and then the camera follows all the way up. You just play that in reverse, and you've got yourself a falling Hans Gruber. And that's how we made our homemade Die Hard scene. Be sure to subscribe to Cinefix because we've got new episodes every Tuesday, and let us know what other scenes and trailers you want to see us try. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next week.
Enough jokes. Again, too.